Hi guys, once again thank you for joining me today. Here is a live view from the Old Faithful webcam looking out over the basin there. This mountain, this hill over here, that is the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome. It is being pushed up because of the magma coming underneath the caldera. Yesterday, Beehive had one of its shortest eruption ever observed. Yeah, are the geysers drying up? I don't know. But I was going to do a report yesterday. USGS didn't fudge on the earthquakes that they did report other than one, which is surprising. But that was Monday, and often on Mondays they have somebody working that is a little bit more honest about the size of the earthquakes than they do generally during the rest of the week. USGS is only reporting 3 earthquakes so far today, but it's early. It's 12:35 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It would be 1:35 p.m. there on the East Coast. 11:35 a.m. there on the West Coast. I'm going to start with this 0.6 at 15:03 and 31 seconds. You can see we got the Medicine River area here. Here's the spectrogram of that earthquake. USGS has broken it down into 2 earthquakes. I would classify it as one. Let me show you. There's earthquake, and then they got a small little popping. I would say it's all one long earthquake, but they're considering it 2 earthquakes. So if I break it down into 2 earthquakes, it comes in as a 0.86, not a 0.6 like USGS said. So then breaking down the second wave of the earthquake, I don't come up with a minus 0.4. I come up with a 0.18. But in total, I would consider this all one earthquake because of how fast the second bump went. I would consider it at least a 1.14. You can see there's a second very small earthquake afterwards, and get it over there. Not really an earthquake, but it is, and it's harmonic tremors. Yeah, you often see that when a volcano is recharging for another eruption. This here is from Maple Creek. So if I go all the way down to about where the other one starts, it actually would be a 1.74. But we're not going to do that. We're going to shorten it up, and that's why I came up with a smaller magnitude. You can see there's lots of other earthquakes, but this is the only other one they're reporting at 111. They're claiming that one also is a magnitude 0.6. Only thing I can figure is they divided it into 2 separate earthquakes, but the second one they didn't report, and it comes in as a 1.46. And I'll pull this up and I'll show you. See, we got another little spike right there. Let me make that bigger. Yeah, harmonic tremors. It's really hard to say. So we'll just consider it all one earthquake. Again, this is from Maple Creek, and there's the spectrogram. This earthquake does not show up on the other spectrograms. Same with the other 2, because they're so small. I have here Little West Thumb, and this is the Promontory. So let me go back to Maple Creek, because like I said, there's lots of earthquakes here. This is what it was showing when I pulled the files. We'll start with the most recent marked in red, 1555. Not being reported, of course. And there's its signature. That probably comes in as a magnitude 1.42. And we'll go back to that. The next one marked in red would be that one right there, which I just reported. We'll look at the signature of that one and that one. But then there's other ones. Yeah, blobs of magma that was coming in. Yeah, more harmonic tremors. Again, this is Maple Creek up there by Madison River. Look at the line of melt. Yeah. And this is when I pulled the files. We'll just come over. Now these are all pockets of rock. Not all rock melts at the same temperature. I'll just bring it over so you can see what it was doing. We got an interesting signature there, it looks like. Let's see if I can make that bigger. There you go. Volcanic tremors. Alright, seeing how I got it bigger. Oh, look at that. Yeah, blobs of magma coming into the system, more than likely. Possibly from the Snake River Plateau. But yesterday, I noticed, like I said, I was going to do a report, but things came up, phone calls to make with family, etc. It looked like the magma was coming up on the east side of Yellowstone Lake, going underneath the lake, and then going up to the Madison River area. That was what I was viewing yesterday. Look at that. More blobs of magma. Yeah. We'll just kind of jump around here and look at this. You know, if you think about it, common sense would tell you Yellowstone Lake, which has 2 resurgent domes, which most volcanoes do not. Yellowstone has 2 areas where the plume of magma is coming into the system. One over the Snake River Plateau, so it would make sense that the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome that we see here would be building up, rising because of the intrusion of the magma coming from the Snake River Plateau. So going to Google Earth, they only recently discovered that they got this plume coming up from the Gulf of Mexico on the eastern side of Yellowstone Lake. They only recently discovered it. And what do we have above Yellowstone Lake where this plume is coming up? The other resurgent dome, the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome. What was their thinking about the 2 resurgent domes? Did they think it was all coming, rising up from the Snake River Plateau? But it would make sense, at least to me. I haven't found any documentation, but common sense would tell me that the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome, is being fed by the plume from the Snake River Plateau, whereas the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome is being fed from the newly discovered, it's been there the whole time, coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. So I'm going to have to look up some recent documentation about this, but that just seems logical to me. In the past, more than likely, they probably thought that the magma was flowing all the way across to the caldera. Let me find some past images of the plume. You can see it comes up from Idaho into Wyoming and then further out. This is what they used to think. Here's another image of the plume coming up, and you'll see this. Okay, we got the Mallard Lake Resurgent Dome here and the Sour Creek Resurgent Dome. They're imaging a magma chamber with a northeasterly direction of the fluid rising up. Alright, an article from 2015 says a second much larger reservoir of partially molten rock has been discovered by the University of Utah. There's enough magma inside, they say, to fill the Grand Canyon more than 11 times. Seismologists at the university, publishing in the journal Science, say the magma reservoir sits below the other shallower and smaller one already known, but the new one is 4.5 times larger. A paper from 2018, a pair of researchers from the University of Texas has found what they claim is evidence of a plume beneath Yellowstone National Park. In the paper published in the journal Nature Geoscience, Stephen Grand and Peter Nielsen further propose that the plume is part of a zone that runs to the park all the way from Mexico. And they have an image here, and they only show one little example of the volcano. And then there's a YouTube video showing the newly discovered 11 times greater magma chamber. Here we got the 2 resurgent domes and how they thought these two resurgent domes were being fed back in 2015. So this area here would be the second chamber, which has enough magma to fill the Grand Canyon 11.5 times. Another side view taken from that video. But if you look here, okay, it's like an upside down U. Where do they think this magma is coming from? Turning it a little bit farther and a little bit farther. You can see this was originally put out by the University of Utah. And there's the credits. Looks like they're looking at the back basin. Yeah, look at all the dead trees. This is the fault area where the toxic gas is coming up and killing the trees from the roots up. This too is an area of the boardwalk going back behind here that they had closed because it got so hot. It was too dangerous for people to walk. Plus the gases, to breathe in the gases. Alright, here we have Little West Thumb, the spectrogram. And we had blobs of magma coming in during this time right here. 1432. And we'll just bring it across and then we'll look at the signature. Alright, let's look at the signature. Yeah. Yep. Volcanic tremors. Look at that. Yeah. Alright, there was some marked in red. I want to do that. Because it's got a cap of rhyolite, it's not allowing the gases to come up out of the ground. It's not allowing the magma to come up. So the ground's getting very brittle. And we're getting this popping of the rock. See, a quick little pop like glass. Okay, we got another one right there at 141. Let's see, where's this one at? 34 minutes after midnight universal time. 56 minutes after 56 minutes after midnight universal time. 52 minutes and 50 seconds. Trying to see them, they're so faint. There's another one, 22 minutes and 57, 22 hours and 57 minutes before midnight, universal time. Yeah, and more blobs of magma coming in. Volcanic tremors. Let's take a look at that. Harmonic. That's harmonic. Yeah, okay, and let's look at the promontory. Alright, so yeah, lots of stuff coming in. And look at the heat. And those are marked in red. We got two marked in red. Let's see if I can find the signature. Yeah, it just... yeah. Not good. Not good. It may have settled down. See, that's harmonic. May have settled down a little bit, but it's still the calm before the storm. We got one marked in red up here somewhere. Right there. 1903. Popping of the rock. And let me pull this up here. Find this one. 1837. I got another little one. I'm not going to go to the ones in red. I'm just looking at these little... yeah, where the popping of the ground occurred at 1742. I don't know if I can find that one. There it is, 1714. 1920. See, we got a lot. Let me go to the spectrogram. That's a little popping there, another little popping there. It's throughout this whole thing at the Promontory. And I don't know how many of you remember, what was it, a year ago? That they had that earthquake swarm down there. trying to find that. Oh well. Yeah, and it's still popping. This is what was shown when I pulled the files. Look at that. Yeah. That ruptured pretty good. It's actually one continuous rupture, but if I broke that down, it comes in as a 0.84. I want to make that bigger. Yeah, I won't do that. Okay. Made it too big. Okay, what else we got down here? And this is what it was showing when I pulled the files. Harmonic tremors. Yeah, not good. There is, a lot of them marked in red, but then there's a lot that is not marked in red. I don't know where that one's at. You see the line of melt there. Oh, we got one there, I think. Oh, right there we got two. Interesting here at 1732 how it looks like just waves of colored water. Same there at 1940. Yeah. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Alright, so it's 1:24 p.m. Central Daylight Time. 2:24 East Coast time. And we got several earthquakes that just came in as I was putting this together. I want to look at this one. Oh, it's not going to give me the data. Alright, Little West Thumb. I can get this one. USGS is not reporting it. That comes in as a magnitude 1.42. The Promontory has it marked in red right there, so they figured it probably happened somewhere over there. Oh, I want to go back to the spectrogram. Yeah, look at the line of melt. Will this one show up? Oh, it will show up on this one. I don't know why it won't show up on the other monitor. Harmonic tremor, and then we got another one there. More harmonic tremor. Those just came in. Yeah, here at the Promontory, magnitude 1.42 for that one. Yeah, I want to see if I can get that one better. Yep, blobs of magma coming in. Not good, not good. So at the top here, this here is Maple Creek. This one here is Little West Thumb. Bam, 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 bam. And it also shows at the Promontory. This one shows up on all three also. And then I'll pull it over for that other one. Yeah, Maple Creek, it looks like it's bigger. Little West Thumb and also the Promontory. Alright, I got the Promontory to work. I had to shut it all down and close out files and reopen. Yeah, that is not good. Harmonic, and look how long it lasted. Alright, going back to Maple Creek. I got that one to work. Look at that. Look how long that lasted. Yep. Excuse me. Let's look at its signature with the spectrogram. Yep, everything is not A-OK. Here's another one. And we'll look at its signature. And we got another one there. We'll look at that. Another little one there. Actually, two. That one's two. None of these recent ones are being reported. Yeah, nothing since 1503. And that one's marked in red. Well, maybe later or a week or a month from now, they'll report them. So, what are your thoughts? Please put those comments down below. thank you very much for your support. Thank you for subscribing. And as I've said before, I'll make some kind of comment. Just, hi there, hello. YouTube loves to unsubscribe people. They think you're bots if you don't put something up. So that's a reminder. I'm sorry I have to say it so often, but we get new people that don't know. And don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.